Hello everyone, my name is Ceca Demirkova and I am the founder of Changing a Generation and Ceca Demirkova Ministries. And today I would love to share with you some of the things that I have learned from being in ministry for the last 26 years. I literally cannot believe that it has been 26 years since I started this journey when I was 19 years of age. And now that I am in my mid to late 40s, I am beginning to understand that even after all of these years, I am so grateful for the principles that I have learned while I was still in Bible college, while I was learning from my mentors. And so today I just decided that I would love to impart some of those principles and truth into you so that if you're starting out in full-time ministry perhaps, or if you're running a business, or if you're just thinking perhaps of doing something bigger than yourself, maybe these steps are going to help you understand how to not compare yourself with everyone else and how to just go through life's journey knowing that everything that you do is important. You're never to compare yourself with the people around you on social media, people who are doing ministry, or whatever else is going on in life. A lot of times people fail because they have not defined themselves correctly. And that is really the first point that I want to make right here. One of the main things that I had to learn when I first started out is define myself according to who God says that I am and what He has asked of me to do, rather than the definition of everyone else that they're giving me. Because I am from Bulgaria, my name has always been very hard to pronounce for people from Western Europe or from America. A lot of times when people would mispronounce my name, especially when I was younger, they would just say, oh, we have this girl out here and she's just going to share her cute little story of growing up under communism. And I cannot tell you how much that bothered me when I was 19, because for one, I looked like I was 12. And secondly, they had no idea of my journey or the pain that I had gone through or what it was like to live in communism. And yet, to them, it was just like this cute little story. So instead of getting mad and upset about it, I decided that I'm going to define myself according to who God saw me and according to the way I saw myself. So I saw myself as an ambassador to the nations, an ambassador of Christ who brings hope, who brings good news. And it didn't matter if I was 19 or 30 or 50 or 60, I was going to do the job to the best of my ability. So when people would ask me to introduce myself, instead of just saying, oh, I'm Ceca from Bulgaria, I began to say, I am Ceca, I am from Bulgaria, and I am an ambassador to the nations. I minister and I meet with government leaders around the globe. I conduct mass miracle evangelism. I do big conferences. And so I decided to speak life over my dreams. Instead of putting my dreams in a box according to whoever saw my dreams or they saw me in the way that they perceived me, I just decided instead of using their perception about me, I am going to use God's perception about me. And really, perception is the key right here in defining ourselves, because the way we perceive ourselves is how we're going to also live our life and project everything around us to the people around us. So I want to encourage you today, if you have never defined yourself, take the time to sit down, take a piece of paper. I encourage people to never just do it on the phone or on the computer, because when we're writing something down, it really connects to the neurological part of our brain, and it really pulls it in so that we can see and visualize the dreams and the visions in our life. When we begin to write things down, all of a sudden they become alive. All of a sudden God begins to speak new things into our heart, and when they're written down by hand, you have an emotional connection to that dream, to that vision, to that definition. So don't always use the computer. That is one thing that we teach in our psychology classes and courses, that handwriting is very important in understanding how to define ourselves. The second part here is know that your story is in your journey, and that's how you discover success. I cannot tell you how many times I have met people who have just graduated from Bible college or from any other college. They're 18, 19, maybe they're 23, 24. The world is ahead, big dreams, big visions, the big journey, and everybody says the best is yet to come. And yet, they graduate and immediately they have no idea how to take the next step. And a lot of times they get discouraged. They end up taking a job that is completely different than what they even graduated to do. So I want to tell you here, if you're a graduate or if you're someone who is just starting out on this journey, the vision that you hold in your heart for what you want to do is going to have to be held in there for at least the first 5 years without you giving up. Because after the 5 years pass, and that is really a crucial time, then all of a sudden the vision is never going to let you give up. So when we hold the vision and feed it, and every single day we begin to do something that connects us to our vision, to our dream, all of a sudden our journey begins to create that compass point for us. It begins to create that purpose and that narrow path that we're to take. I had to say no to a lot of opportunities in order to say yes to the things that God has asked me to do. And I will tell you that in that journey of discovering yourself and the successes in life or the failures in life, there will be so many opportunities that may not actually be connected at all to what you were planning on doing, what God has planned, or what God had put in your heart to do. So it's very important for us to begin to say no to the things that are good and yes to the things that are best. So when I started out, people would tell me, well, before you become an evangelist, maybe you should be a youth pastor. Or because I wasn't really exposed to traveling that much, I didn't know how to speak in front of people, people would tell me, maybe you should just work in a kindergarten and just get better with speaking to kids and then get promoted on a little bit higher place where you speak in front of adults. Well, one of the things that ended up happening is I met Dr. T.L. Osborne right here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He and his wife and his entire family, along with his daughter, Dr. LaDonna Osborne, they were one of the very first evangelists out of the United States to go and conduct mass miracle evangelism around the globe. They started in the early 40s, 50s, and to this day, they're well known around the world for what they have brought as the gospel to the nations, and literally seeing thousands and millions of people come to the Lord in one setting each time that they would conduct those evangelism outreaches and festivals. But I met him at the airport in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was about 22 at the time. And I remember very vividly to this day that the first thing that he asked me after we met and we were sitting at the gate waiting for the plane is that he said, "So what do you want to do in life?" And I said, "I want to be an evangelist. I want to travel. I want to minister. I want to preach." And he looked at me and he said, "Each time you have an opportunity in life to say yes to the things that are not exactly on the path of what you're wanting to do, say no to them and stick to the main thing that God has asked of you to do so that you don't waste time." And I cannot tell you how much as a 21, 22-year-old that helped me to say no to the opportunities to be a youth pastor or just to pastor a church or just to be a missions pastor. I stuck to that vision that I'm going to be an evangelist. I'm going to run a nonprofit organization. And even though I started with literally nothing, with just $100 in my pocket, today we have an organization that ministers to thousands of children in Bulgaria and in Africa. But it didn't come overnight. And that is the next point that I want to make. In the journey, that's why it's called a journey, you're not going to arrive to the next destination overnight. You're not going to make it there overnight. You may see people right now who are successful in what they do as ministers, as business people, as entrepreneurs. And I want to tell you, unless they had someone just open the door and take them up the escalator to the road of success, that escalator journey is not going to withhold the character that God wants us to build. We should take the stairs of life. The stairs means the opportunities that nobody sees. Waking up in the morning and being active and doing something that nobody else is going to notice but just you and the Lord. And being confident that when you're faithful in that season of life, that God sees that and that there will be a promotion. There will be a time when you're going to get onto the next place, that there's going to be the breakthrough, the right breakthrough, because in the middle of all of this, our character is getting developed, and guess what else? Our patience. Patience is a word that nobody loves to use most of the time, but it's so important when we're saying, God, I'm going to trust you and believe your promises, that we're also patient in how those promises are going to come about. Now, the next point that I would like to make here is that never do anything with hopes that it will bring your greater validation before people. So each time we decide that we're going to live a life that is going to cause people to love us more, and is going to cause us to all of a sudden have open doors because everybody just loves us, I will tell you immediately that that is a road to huge failure. Because one day people will love you and like you, and the next day they may hate you. It just depends on what side of the bed they woke up from. Because literally in life, it is so easy to get discouraged when we begin to compare ourselves with the life of someone else, with the pictures that someone else posts, with the exciting things that they're doing and that we're not doing, and we're trying to outdo somebody else's success. That is a road to not only failure, but to internal distress. Talk about someone living with constant anxiety to compete within, with the world around. Now, that's going to lead to a lot of different breakdowns in our system, in our body, mentally, physically, spiritually. So please, when you decide to go on this journey of life, ask the Lord for the right strategy. And when you stick to that strategy, even if everybody rejects it, don't worry about it. God is going to be with you. He's going to be on your side. A few years ago, we started a new program in Bulgaria, and I really wanted to connect playgrounds to be built alongside with our outreaches. When I first mentioned that idea to partners here in America, the first thing that they said is, oh, that is really stupid. That's never gonna happen. Who is going to invest in playgrounds all the way in Bulgaria? But I am one of these people that I do not listen to the naysayers. I do not listen to the opinion of what everybody else says. I really felt like this was something that God put in my heart to do, and therefore I decided, instead of asking the opinion of everyone else, I'm just going to go ahead and make an announcement that that's what we're doing. I announced it to partners, and I announced it to strategic people that I believed would have a vision. And here we are, a couple of years later, we have already installed and built 5 playgrounds in Bulgaria. We're on our way to do 2 more later this year, and hopefully get at least 10 to 15 playgrounds built within the next year in different locations in the country of Bulgaria that are literally needing someone to come and give something to the community so that the kids have a place to play and a place that they call a safety zone where they can feel like they're kids. So that's just one little example of the many things that I have done in life that people have criticized in the beginning, but then God empowers, God invests, and God brings it to pass. So do not ever do anything out of that anxiety to please everybody around. And the fourth one for this particular segment is having the right parameters in establishing your vision. With other words, many times we actually get around people who may not have the same mindset as we do. And our vision begins to shrink according to the people we surround ourselves with. That's why it's very important for us to have people who are big thinkers, who are big visionary people. And if you don't know them at the moment, it is very easy to find them. Sometimes you can find them on YouTube channels. You can find them on the websites where you could type in a place that you are interested in and see who has been the best in their field and what exactly have they done. And then begin to pray that God would bring people of big vision and big hearts around you, so that when you're doing your vision, then you're going to be able to ask the opinion of someone who has already gone ahead, who has already seen those challenges, and who understands and knows exactly what to do and how to do it, so that they can encourage you and they can inspire you along the journey. So surround yourself with big thinkers so that you don't become small-minded while your vision is growing. So I'll see you in the next segment very shortly.